So again, I'm going to give you a menu of different movements. You can integrate them into what worked for you last week. If you liked everything of what we did last week, you can add on everything that we're doing this week as well. And I'm trying to give you a large menu of things that you can pick and choose from. So you can do what are called golf swings. This also has the benefit of sort of crossing the midline, which we saw last week has some benefits. And the back arm can come up as high or as low as you want. If you think about it, a golf swing, we would have both hands. I know this is a really poor imitation of a golf swing, but obviously the higher up the back arm, the closer it resembles the golf swing. And you're lifting off the back heel. If you wanted to do this for 1 minute, you could keep this going for 1 minute. Ooh, feels really good in the upper back. So it might be something to do after those head rolls that we did last week. And then again, you can just lift the knee to the front without the cross, yeah? So last week we were doing a crossbody thing. This week you could just do it straight in front. If you wanted to work it up, you can clap the hands underneath the knees. Again, if you're looking for more energy, then you can keep this going for a minute. The higher the knees come up, the more spinal flexion is involved. If you prefer just the tap, you can do just the tap. If the knees want to come higher up because you're tapping either side of the knee as opposed to above the knee, or you can tap underneath the knee or clap underneath the knee. Whew. Okay, so you can do that for longer or shorter. You will notice that it does heat you up a bit. Moving on from what we did last week, you can integrate into this sort of side bend. Again, with the chair, without the chair, totally up to you. If you wanted to, you can integrate a twist. So I'm bending the knee and then I'm rotating the chest. The top arm can stay low or it can extend. So again, we're thinking about the movement as a movement both for our brain as well as a movement for our body. So the more complex the movement, the more things we need to coordinate, the more it'll stimulate different parts of our brain, particularly when we're going across this midline, whether it's with a twist, as well as with the arm movement. So we're kind of coordinating both of those things in that last movement. Another thing that you can do, you can feel I'm a little bit breathy, is if you're wanting to extend a little bit more on the squat, when you come all the way down, whatever all the way down is for you, whether it's here, whether it's on the chair, whether it's lower, can you bring the hands behind the head and curl into the spine? And then can you extend? Come back up, come down. However low is low for you. Curl in, open up, and push. One detail, notice if you're swaying your weight more to one side than the other, try and keep it centered. I tend to sway I tend to sway right. And then try and keep the weight balanced through the feet so that you're not turning out the feet too wide and that you're not kind of rolling either too far to the inside of the foot or too far to the outside. So that you're trying to keep the weight balanced through the entire sole of the foot. And then from here, whether you're on a chair or not, you can maybe come straight into a down dog. Stretch out. You can walk the hands back and come back up. And you can do what is called a walkout. So you walk your hands out, but you can go beyond a down dog towards a plank. This is kind of what we were working towards with those push-ups last week. You can stay here as long as you want. Push back. Come back up to standing. And in order to help engage the core more, come down and try and not sort of sway from side to side. Try and keep the weight pretty even so that the chest is staying over or the shoulders are staying in line with the hips, both when you're here as well as when you're walking back. That'll kind of engage the core a little bit more. Let the head rest. Woo, woo, woo. And then you can roll back up. And again, maybe another long stretch. We haven't done a lot of side movements today, so if it feels nice to open up the side a little bit more, side body a little bit more, you can do that. And again, shake it off, maybe a hop. That's it. So again, I've given you a couple of elements to work with. You can decide how long you practice each movement for, how many of the movements you choose to integrate, the intensity, sort of you can fold forward and do a down dog. The down dog, as we saw last week, you can have your knees more or less bent. If you want even the knees on the floor, let me just show you that option, kind of off to a slant here. So on the downward dog, if the plank is too much, you can do it with the knees down. And an alternative would also be to maybe work with the idea of what is called a bird dog. If you've ever gone hunting with a bird, or shooting, I believe it's called, this is kind of an imitation of what a dog that is pointing or waiting for, right? So this will also engage the core in a more, as well as sort of challenge the balance, and not quite a contralateral movement, but, or definitely a contralateral movement, but not necessarily a cross-body movement, but will kind of stimulate that extra coordination. So from here, you can rest back, or if you wanted to come back to down dog and walk yourself back up. So I don't know about you, but I definitely feel like there's more stuff firing on all cylinders. And I don't know how many of you work from home, but if you do, integrating a couple of these movements as like breaks for yourself throughout the day, especially if you're spending a lot of time in front of a computer. Maybe you're not getting down and doing down dog, but maybe, you know, some cross-body movements, or the golf swing, or just rolling down through the spine and rolling back up, or just 5 or 10 squats. Those are all little ways to keep the body more in motion, not in terms of exercise, which is unfortunately how it's often defined, but just because we live such sedentary lives, to sort of get a little bit more movement into your morning, but also throughout your day.